Don't make the belt look bad. When you have a real contender in front of you, just fight. Folks, lightweight champion Islam Makhachev said it best. He said that to Dvalishvili, and that is the theme of today's program. When you got a front runner, when you got the guy that everybody is saying is going to take your belt, it's up to you to defend your crown, to defend your ranking. We've said it here on the Bloody Water podcast, very tried and true. Welcome back to another episode. My name is Derick G. Welcoming me, as always, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native. AJ, what's the word, bro?
Derick, the word this week is business, brother. We're back to it. Pay-per-views going, man. Things are wild, and how it's looking, this card's unfolding like it's not going to let us down.
That's right. And sometimes when you got all of the big hype, right, that stakes are high. We in LA, it's hot. There's fires out there. So first off, like, legitimately, tragic situation, man. You know, bless up to all the people who are out there dealing with it. But again, the task at hand, defend your crown, show the people why you are the king of your division. And I think it's going to be an interesting one, man. Before we jump into all of that, you already know, though, we got to do a little bit of accountability, and we need to talk about what happened last week. UFC Vegas 101, let's not forget, Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Ribas. That was the first headline show of 2025. Consensus picks, you know we start there, brother. 3-2, not our finest start, but I'll take it. We're above 500 on that one. Let's start with the wins, right? Santiago Ponzinibbio, you gotta love it. He closed as a favorite, but I felt like he was not a popular pick, so I love that one. Cesar Almeida, comeback knockout, and Roman Kopylov with the last second controversial head kick knockout, but we got it done, man. Big misses though. Amanda Ribas, Austin Bashy. AJ, I gotta eat a little bit of crow right here, but before I do it, man, talk to us about the consensus picks.
Yeah, Derick, I mean, like you said, we're hitting over 50%, but what that means to me is there's still a little bit of room to improve. I feel bad about the Ribas miss. I mean, that one right there really does get me. Mackenzie Dern submission. I mean, how many times we've seen it, but she's improving. Yeah, it was an interesting week last week. A good card to open up the year on.
Think though, like fight IQ, I just felt like it was a good pick, but the fight IQ of Ribas wasn't there. That was Dern's first submission, I think, in like 4 years, man. So sometimes it's a bad beat, and we'll just kind of take it on the chin. Austin Bashy, that was the worst one though, because C-Rod, the prospect killer, has now taken 4 O's in the UFC, which I think deserves like a belt of its own. That deserves its own special crowning. If Bashy not ready to take the next step, he lost his O, but it only goes up from here. Interesting to think about. AJ, you won the week 4-2, starting off at 66% on the year. Folks, just don't forget, we're running the head-to-head competition, right? So you got to be a front runner. You got to get out to a hot start here. And the one contentious pick that we had, you hit the nail on the head, but I felt like we didn't get to see a fight, man. That's Soriano's knockout over Uros Medic. Talk to us.
Yeah, Derick, I mean, we called it in the show. Even Puna reinforced that what we were saying. He was going in there to wrestle. He was going in there for a long duration fight. Sometimes you get the knockout. It works the best for him. And yeah, he skirted out, man. It was an interesting performance for sure.
Biggest key, do not exit straight backwards. Exit off to the side, circle out. I thought Medic was a mastermind at this, but we all get caught. It happens. All right, AJ, the big talk is the props, man. That's where we really hold ourselves accountable, and we got some ground to make up right here. Both of us went 0-1 right here. Big misses, and honestly, major misses, man. For mine, let me own mine first. Preston Parsons, Jacoby Smith. Jacoby Smith comes in on short notice. He's a wrestler, right? But he's known to get the finish. I'm thinking short notice. Parsons is a good grappler. This at least extends before he gets a finish. Well, no need. You sit in the pocket, you trade left hooks, and someone goes down. That was an instant KO one for Jacoby Smith. This dude's gonna be a problem. Let's just say that. So I'll own mine. But AJ, I mean, Tulio and Potieria, talk to us.
Man, this one, Derick, I mean, I was watching this fight go down. I was excited because like, oh, it's definitely hitting the over, right? They're going to feel each other out. Tulio comes out of nowhere. Big, very impressive win for him over a guy who had some heat going in, but now really being overlooked. And I think Tulio stole a lot of the fire that was in the Potieria side.
Even with Potieria having the nut shot, you got plenty of time to recover. You came back, and you could tell. So every time they traded, every time they opened up, Tulio was coming for the knockout. So new contender on the scene right there. You got to love it right there in the middleweight division. Key takeaways, AJ, minus money props. They went 3-4. Just remember that, folks. When we're covering props this week, they went 3-4. Nurulo, Aliyev, the wrestler, he hit. Ernesta Karachkeda, my sleeper, she hit. And Marcos Tulio with the KO, minus 180. They all hit. All right, folks, that is your prop recap. But now we have business to attend to. AJ already said what the word was. UFC 311, here's the bet sheet, and we got some consensus picks here for you. We got a little fewer, though. Islam Makhachev, Dvalishvili and Derick. AJ, first off, just give me a quick aside. We're going to talk about this in a minute. I thought I was going to be on an island. I thought I'd be on a hill with the Merab pick right there, but you're backing him too. Talk to the people about the theme, of course, but talk to us a little bit about Merab.
Man, the theme first, Derick, is control, and this is going to tie into why I'm liking the Merab pick, but control, whoever's going to be controlling the situations of these two fights, they're going to be the one that's going to get their hand raised. And how it ties into the Merab pick, man, I think the pressure he has and the way he goes about fighting people and making them uncomfortable with the pressure and control he possesses, that's a key to victory for him all day long, brother.
You could almost say that the theme is pressure, right? This week, control, pressure, all along the same lines. All right, fair. So again, consensus picks, Makhachev, Merab Dvalishvili, Derick, two contentious picks, if you will. Surprisingly, I'm rocking Jamal Hill. You like Yuri Prochazka on that one. We'll break it down. And I'm rolling with Benny Boy, man. Benny Dariush, man. You can't get rid of the old man. Same age as Money Moicano, but we know Moicano is streaking right now. So we'll break all of that down a little bit more. AJ, talk to the people about your prop. You got a hot one this week.
We do got a hot one, Derick. Prop lock this week. We're going Holland versus Derick over money over 1.5 at -185 right here. I don't see either of these fighters pushing the pace heavily upstart. They leave themselves vulnerable until later on in the fight. So I do see this one happening after that 7.5 minute mark, especially at -185. I like this right here.
Ah, man, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, folks, listen, if you tell AJ he's winning this year so far, man, tail him, right? This thing could be over in a minute, bro, on both sides. Like, this thing can end fast, but I can see the logic too. I can see how it gets extended, so that's one to keep your eye on. I'm rolling with one because I need to get a dub on the board, and I love the price here. We're talking Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. Fight ends in a submission, +110. Listen, worst case scenario, folks, a decision rolls around. Both of these dudes, when they fight, they do ground and pound to club and sub. They don't particularly ground and pound to end a fight. Sergey Spivak, I think he's coming off of a submission in his last victory. We know Jailton Almeida, that's the game plan always. So again, you don't even have to have a winner here. You just need the fight to end in a submission, +110. We're cashing that all day long. Cash it before it goes minus money. You already know what time it is. All right, and then yeah, I think we'll leave it at that one. We got some other stuff that we're going to cover a little bit later in the program. But before we do that, folks, we got a main card to break down. And before we jump into that, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already. 3,500 subscribers, army, militiamen, and women in counting. You got to love it. All right, AJ, let's not mince any more words. Main card breakdown. Let's get it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan, number 2. AJ, would you say that Arman Tsarukyan has done enough in the time since some people would say he gave Islam the hardest fight? It was short notice, all that good stuff. Aside from when Islam got knocked out, people say Arman is the next guy. The odds makers, they don't say that, though. This dude, Makhachev, is far over a -400 favorite at this point. I believe the open was -410. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Derick, I mean, sometimes you can't trust what the odds makers are thinking because they're very heavily swayed by a last name and anyone that is accustomed to that last name as well. I do think Tsarukyan has done enough, definitely with how he fights and the style in which he fights, to earn this shot and demand a lot of respect out of Makhachev, man. And taking away what Makhachev's been done in his last 2 fights, which are absolutely spectacular, I do think how the styles line up against these two fighters, Tsarukyan stands a very, very good shot right here of winning this fight.
I guess the question is, man, like, where is he better than Islam, or where can he be better? In the grappling, I mean, defensively, offensively, Makhachev, it's pretty clear, man. He's got this thing on lock. A lot of people are calling for submission plays here. Striking-wise, I mean, man, I'm not going to say that Dustin Poirier is the ultimate litmus test, but to go toe-to-toe with what some would consider to be one of the better boxers in the UFC, even at his advanced age, and to win that fight and then get it done in the grappling, I don't know, man. The question that we really have right here, let's look at TKO props right here. +575 a pop for both of these fighters. Decision props, though, -105 for Islam Makhachev, +600 for Arman Tsarukyan. So the odds makers are essentially saying, man, like, you got to finish this dude. Submission, no chance. You better knock him out because the decision is not going to happen. You have a little bit more faith, though. So, like, what are the paths?
I think the best path for Arman right here is keep the pressure on Makhachev. Don't let him fight on the front foot. Keep it going. And you asked earlier, where is Tsarukyan better than Makhachev all around? 9 times out of 10, Makhachev technically is better, but I do think where Tsarukyan controls that one aspect is in the pressure, right? Just keeping the foot on the gas. Gas tank is basically endless. I mean, we haven't seen this guy get tired yet, and that's where he's going to be able to outpace and outmaneuver Makhachev, especially in those later rounds. Path to victory right here, Derick. I mean, it's a plus 600, but I think decision, staying not necessarily safe, but staying in control is the best way Tsarukyan can win this fight.
You know, it's interesting to me because if you look at that win over Oliveira, right, you didn't have to deal with a guy like Makhachev. Makhachev's not going to sit on his back and play his guard, right? But Oliveira was equally as dangerous from playing off of his back. A lot of the control that happened right there, that kind of goes back to the original theme that you mentioned for the consensus picks, right? We love control, but we know that we score fights differently in 2025 than we did in 2020, 2022, right? So is control going to count? And if it does count, what else do you got to do to really make it impactful? That win over Oliveira was solid. Like, that was a hands down. You almost got choked out with the guillotine. You had to pull your pants off in order to get out of it, all good. But the fight before that for Benny Dariush, that was an instant knee up the middle knockout. It just felt to me like you fought Mateusz Gamrot, which you lost, but you kind of won, but you lost on the official verdict. You lost, right? Then you fight Ismagulov, no longer in the UFC anymore. You fight Silva, and then now you're at like a title shot again. And it's like, everybody agrees Tsarukyan is the guy that probably should be fighting at 155 pounds, because if not, Islam probably goes up to 170 and tries to do something. Not against Bilal, but something. So I don't want to be on the high horse of Makhachev is the guy in this one, and it's not really much of a fight. But I just think that the narrative is giving Tsarukyan a little bit better of a chance, because I have a feeling that Makhachev could keep this one standing and be fine for 5 rounds, more or less.
I agree with you, Derick, and that's the one thing I was liking right here. If Tsarukyan is able to keep that pressure up and keep just a relentless attack going forward, I see Makhachev just kicking back and working the ones and twos, man. Really, really putting a show on what he can do and how well-rounded of a fighter Makhachev has been, because he's proven that he's able to sit in there with some of the best of them and actually get it done.
Yeah, man, I just want to see Tsarukyan busy if he's in there. I think that's going to be one of the better plays. But let's talk to the people about the money, right? Because that's what the program is about right here. We talked props. It doesn't look good for Arman Tsarukyan. If you're a Makhachev, better, though. Do you take that minus money 105 right here? If you're a Makhachev, you don't have a real reason to have to put out some dominant performance. You can skate to a decision. People might talk a little bit of mess online or whatever after, but he's big legacy goals. He's Habib, big legacy goals. Do you take that minus cash?
I think it's the safest route to play, Derick, because I do think with how these fighters go, length in or duration in a fight is one of the better ways. But man, if you're Makhachev, I think the one thing propelling him to be hunting a finish right here is that legacy, right? Is him wanting to go up to 170, because if he doesn't handle Arman, right, if he doesn't just take him out, demolish him, not many people are going to be clamoring to see him jump up the ranks. It's going to be more asking of like, who else are you going to be fighting in 155? Like you could barely got past Tsarukyan. Like, we want to see everybody else. So I think Makhachev might have a little bit more or a little bit more push to be able to look for a finish right here. And I'm looking at it, man. I think that plus 300 submission, that's probably the best way to go if he's going to be hunting a finish.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at the rankings right now, too, just to see, like, what else is left, bro. Who else is left that Islam hasn't already fought? There's not many people that you can name on here, man. This dude's fought just about everybody who's in, like, real contention. You start getting down to the Dan Hookers and the Mike Chandlers and the, stuff like that, So, I don't know. There's only so much that you can do in terms of clearing out your division. But let's talk about this over, man. Like, this is the closest bet that you got right here. Minus 175 for over 4.5, plus 145 for the under. What's your take?
I like the over right here, Derick. I've been saying it all for this fight. I think a distance is going to be the one that wins this, and gas tank. And minus 174, it looks like the odds makers are rolling with that as well. I like that. What about you?
I don't know, man. I think Makhachev might try to put on a statement and say, let me submit this man and get him out of here. Listen, bro, I'm just saying, like, Makhachev, there's something about him right now where I think who said it? There was someone who said it. It might have been Mighty Mouse. It might have been one of these like talking heads, right? But he was like, I just see a little bit of like a skill gap. It even might have been Robert Whitaker. I think it was Robert Whitaker. He's like, I see a little bit of a skill gap between these guys. And when I watched what Makhachev did to Charles Oliveira versus what Tsarukyan did to Charles Oliveira, I was like, you have a domination, and then you have like I hung on and I got the dub. The MMA math doesn't always work out that way, but I'm feeling that Makhachev is going to put on a statement. I'm personally going to rock with that under 4.5 rounds, spice it up to see what happens. But again, like I said, if he cruises to a decision victory, nobody could be particularly mad at that. So something to take into consideration, folks, but that is a consensus pick right here. The play, AJ, and still, yeah?
And still, yeah.
And still, you got it. All right, my friend. That's the big one right there, folks. Next up, though, to me, a little bit higher stakes right here. Merab, the champ, the Georgian. He's pissed, bro. He's pissed. And Umar says, that belt is essentially mine. I'm just going to come and collect it real quick. It was nice. You took your time. You took your pictures with the belt. But, like, I'm going to go do the thing. And I think that this could be a really good thing for Merab, but this could equally be a very bad thing for Merab because Nurmagomedov, he seems cool, calm, and collect. Merab, though, man, seems a little emotional, and you can't fight well emotional. But when you have a gas tank, like the machine does, and you can just put a pace on somebody, there's one major thing you need to avoid. Just don't get caught with something crazy coming in. And if you channel all of that energy into, I'm going to, again, put on a statement, I'm going to show you how Georgia gets down, I'm going to show you all that, I think this can be a way more competitive fight than what people think. Because, dog, Merab, open, plus 275 for the champion, minus 330 for Umar Nurmagomedov, where, AJ, I don't want to be rude here, but his biggest win to date is Corey Sandhagen, who I love, but has been the guy who's been the runner-up of, like, the division in terms of, like, all the best guys. He's been the runner-up. He just hasn't been able to get it done. How do you close over minus 300 aside from your last name being Nurmagomedov?
You don't. You don't. I alluded to it earlier, Derick. The odds makers love anybody with the last name Nurmagomedov and anybody at all from that camp. So these numbers are flawed, at least in my opinion, right? And seeing what I've been seeing and seeing how the fighters go about how they do their business, I definitely would have had these numbers flipped. I mean, a champ at underdog, it's absolutely wild. It's a great opportunity for Merab to prove that he's the guy.
It's just crazy to me because for years, while Aljo was the champ, everybody was saying Merab is the uncrowned champion of this division. Merab is the guy who you know he could be the champ, right? And the odds makers are treating him like he's a placeholder champion, which goes to show maybe Umar is that good. Like, nah, legit, bro. You watch Umar get down and you see his control fantastic, his striking fantastic. But what did he say? He said, hey, I'm going to make Merab not be able to fight his fight because I'm going to pressure him. When he's on the back foot, he's not going to be able to shoot in for takedowns. Then I rewatched the Corey Sandhagen fight, and I was like, dog, you got to do more than control, right? You know what I mean? Like, give me some assessment on that Corey Sandhagen fight. Sandhagen was in the fight. He was never not in the fight. Umar just got the better exchanges and got better control positions and won the fight, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Derick. And it's unfortunate for Sandhagen because it always seems to be those couple of moments where he falters. And that's where Umar was able to shine, man. Had, like you said, has great control, amazing striking, flashy. He's able to get those big moments in fights. But at this one, I don't think moments is going to be the thing that wins this fight because of how devastating the gas tank is of Merab, right? Keeps that pressure consistently going. Yeah, you might have one or two moments in that fight, but for 4.5 minutes, Merab is just consistently on the gas tank over and over again, pushing you around. And if I do think one thing I want to give him some credit for, like you said, with the counter striking he has, and how aggressive and angry Merab is going in this fight. If Merab doesn't watch out that first couple of minutes and you just walk in blind rage, Umar has the skills to be able to put him to sleep, which would create all the craziest headlines.
I mean, he'd be one of the biggest champs out there right now if you just sleep Merab, right? One, because nobody does it, right? The person that came the most close recently was Marlon Moraes, right? So, like, that's my thing. Merab can get caught, man. Like, that, I definitely see. I could see this fight ending in a knockout, 100%. But this is one of those spots right here, folks, where I'm going to preface, I have to bet on Merab until you prove otherwise that people can break him down. Like, from a cardio perspective, he breaks everybody down, and everyone is saying, yeah, but Umar will end it in the first or second round. It's like, okay, cool, but if he doesn't, he was breathing hard against Sandhagen rounds 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to lie. He was still crisp, still fast. He was still able to push the pace. But a Corey Sandhagen pace and a Merab Dvalishvili pace are two completely different paces. The last thing that I want to note is, on paper, man, I mean, look at Merab's last 5. Champion, Sean O'Malley. Champion, Henry Cejudo. Champion, Piotr Jan. Champion, Jose Aldo. Interim champion, maybe, Marlon Moraes. Did he grab the interim gold? Do you remember?
I want to say yes, but I need to verify that.
Yeah, we need, folks, fact check us out there because I'm not going to do it right now. But if not, one of the best resumes that you can offer right here. Multiple champions on the hit list. And then you got Umar, who you beat, Boom Kelleher, Nate Maness, Heoni Barcelos. Khan almost dropped you on a UFC debut, almost got you out of there, and then you beat Corey Sandhagen, and now all of a sudden you get a title shot. So again, I get Merab's frustration. He's like, you didn't earn it, but your last name's Nurmagomedov, and it is what it is. Again, the theme of this program today, right? Defend your rank. Show them. You ain't got to talk. Show them how good you are. So I think it's a pretty simple play here, AJ, and when we assess the numbers, I don't think there's even a point. Why are we assessing numbers? Merab, consensus pick at dog odds. You don't touch anything else, right?
You don't touch anything else. His props are all dog odds too, but folks, I mean, he can get this done in a couple different ways. That's why I like that plus 275 right here.
And I'm not going to lie to you. Minus 125 is the decision prop for Umar Nurmagomedov. There's one way that I see it happening, and that's him just finding control spots like he did against Corey Sandhagen, leading to like a controversial close decision, maybe a split, maybe a not, but something where people aren't happy about after, and he gets the dub. Nobody wants to win the belt on some like faulty gimmick type stuff, right? You want to make a statement, so hopefully that's what we see here. But again, consensus pick, Merab Dvalishvili, and still across the board for UFC 311, folks. We're not seeing a changing of guard, at least not on this program. All right, AJ, now the fun really happened. Yuri versus Jamal, man. This is interesting. Prochazka versus Hill. Minus 110 pick'em odds at open. Right now, I think it's shifted just a little bit, but I think in terms of a fight, this is as even as it gets right here. AJ, what do you got for live numbers? Can you pull something up?
I was pulling it up right now, brother. I'll let you know.
Yes, sir. So the reason that I like this fight so much is because there's one thing that we know about Yuri, and that he's a madman, he's unorthodox, but he does get hit. You cannot deny that he doesn't get hit. He just weathers shots well. Jamal Hill, on the other hand, right now, I think this is a buy low opportunity. I think the stock is low because people are clowning him about the Alex Pereira fight and how he got knocked out. But if you watch that fight back, like, listen, internet is the internet. You're going to make fun of people. There's no escaping. But if you watch that fight back, you cannot make fun of Jamal Hill because Pereira got in close, went for the big hook. Hill came for the straight, but he just missed and got caught. Who's to say that if he would have landed on Pereira, it wouldn't have been the same thing as when Adesanya did? Well, we'll never know. But all I'm saying is it's not like he went in there, got ransacked, and had no strategy. He just took a shot and missed, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Derick. I mean, Jamal Hill has KO power when he's able to get in there. It's just left hand Larry with Alex Pereira, brother. I mean, that's one of those that are just a death touch. And unfortunately, he got clipped on the chin, and we've seen it happen to so many different fighters. But to go back to what we were talking about before, Derick, Jamal Hill has risen to a favorite. Minus 135, so still very close on the plus comeback of 115 for Yuri Prochazka. And it's interesting thinking about that KO power, Derick, because both fighters have it, right? Yuri, a little more unconventional, but still has that one-touch KO power. Jamal can box you up, piece you up, and if he hits you with that left hand, man, you're going to sleep. It's interesting to see how close these odds are actually staying.
Grappling too, if that's something that he wants to pull out, Jamal Hill can grapple. People don't really understand it. Again, I think this is a buy low because of the narrative and the social media presence right here. And Jamal doesn't really help himself because he goes in and goes back and forth with people online. But this is where people like us can capitalize right here, because a minus 135 for Jamal is awesome if you're betting Jamal because it hasn't risen too crazy. But if you're a Prochazka bettor, plus money, plus 115, man. Listen, you lose to the same guy multiple times, Alex Pereira, you can't be mad, right? How about the other contenders in the division? What can we do on that end? And when we look at Yuri's last five, you beat Dom Reyes, devastating knockout, death match with Glover, right? And then you beat Rakic, And that was a fight right there where it's a common theme, man. It's like you're losing. The Teixeira fight, you're losing. The Rakic fight, you're losing. The Dom Reyes fight, that was kind of back and forth. He wasn't super losing, but he's found ways to pull the rabbit out of his hat. Didn't work against Pereira both times. The question is, AJ, if he gets into a hole, if you will, down on points, down on numbers against Jamal Hill, does he still have it in him to just keep pulling that rabbit out the hat?
Absolutely, Derick. That's one of those X factors that you can never count out of Yuri. For some reason, I think it's his own unorthodox style, right? Like no matter how many shots he takes to the face, he still has this weird go at it where you're not seeing the punches come at different angles, and that's where he's able to do most of his damage, right? Especially with the Jamal, where he's working the ones and twos down the pipe, real slick, looking to set up counters, and then out of nowhere, you just get clipped and you're looking up at the sky. That's how Yuri gets his knockouts, and that rabbit he can pull out of the hat again.
I just think it's funny, bro, because I saw a post he put on social media, and it's him just doing drills, mitt work, all that good stuff. But he puts his hand behind his back and they got the noodles, and he's just, and I'm like, bro, right on. And for folks who are just listening to this, I'm just bobbing and weaving my head with my hands down, my hands behind my back, actually. That's the thing about Yuri, man. You want to be unconventional, awesome when it works, but when it doesn't, there's real technical holes in his game. But he says the same thing for Jamal. He says, I could see the openings, I could visualize it, I could see where I'm going to catch him, which I love, but you got to show it. And again, Jamal Hill, I think is going to be a little bit of a tougher test just to the technical proficiency that he hones. So, big question, 1.5 rounds, over or under?
Ooh, Derick. Oh, man, I was looking at this a lot when I was looking at prop odds right here. I like the over. I know it's the minus money at 165 open, but it's weird, man, because the KO power has me hesitant to say over, right? Over, and it's only 7.5 minutes. But with how fast these fighters start and with how willing they are to stand toe-to-toe in the pocket, the under looks good. But I do think with how the knockouts have gone in the last couple of fights, they're going to want to just toe in, if you will, into how this fight goes and then really get started in the second round.
Short memory, brother. We taking the under all day long. I think both of these dudes, I think it's going to be similar to the Tulio Poteria fight, where when they get in the pocket, someone has to go. Like, you can't just sit in the pocket and trade. Preston Parsons, Jacoby Smith, same thing. Neither of them were like, both of them were like, I'm just not going to back down. Somebody's going to go to bed. I don't care who it's going to be, but it ain't going to be me, right? So I think that on either side, like, this would be a good fight to just bet in the distance. You know, it's probably minus money in the distance. I'm actually pretty sure that it is. But when we look at the knockout props, for Yuri, +1, for Jamal Hill, +300. Again, if you're a Yuri bettor, you just take the dog odds, right?
Yeah, you take the dog odds. I do think he can get it done. So +175, a little bit better than the +115, but with how durable Jamal Hill can be and how technical he can be, I think this one might get a little longer distance.
Yeah, and folks, I'm just going to play the pure Jamal Hill money line. Even right now, -135 is still a discounted price. Two former champions right here. Let's not forget, like, how quickly the sport moves on, right? They're treating these guys like they're just bums off the street or something. Two former champions. Put some respect on their name. This is going to be a dog fight right here, but this is a contentious pick. I'm going Jamal Hill, KO, +300, but the bet is just pure money line. And AJ, you rolling with?
Yuri Prochazka, KO, but the bet is money line right here, especially at dog odds.
All right, man. Moving right on along. Benny Dariush versus Hanato Money Moicano. Interesting, man, because, Benny, because he got the grays. He got the grays up top, right? He's the old man. Moicano, like, I'm going to beat the shit out this old man, but y'all better not call me old, even though I'm only 15 days younger or whatever, you know? Listen, you cannot deny it. Moicano has been on a roll. Bro, a role that has been unprecedented, man. He lost to RDA, the beloved RDA here on this program. Since then, beat Brad Riddell. What happened to Brad Riddell? That's actually a great question. We have not seen him in a while. Beats Drew Dober, beats Jalen Turner, even though he got knocked out, and then Jalen Turner just walked away. So, I mean, he got the win. But he put people on notice with that Saint-Denis win right there, right? Which was almost just a little fraud check because Moicano, he's, grappling, that's his game. But AJ, if you just had to give me something, what's been the one theme of his victories pretty much on that entire win streak?
Durability, Derick. Durability and willingness to stay in the fight. Like, you're just not willing to go out and take a nap, really, is what helps him out throughout a lot of them.
Fair. I'm going to give you the most common basic answer, though. Wrestling, right? He's out wrestling these dudes, man. All of them. Like, it's not even close. Like, his grappling is sick, which is, like, fantastic. AJ, it's not happening. You're not out wrestling Beneil Dariush, dog. If you go back and you watch the fight that he had with Diego Fajeda or the fight that he had against Mateus Gamrot, one thing you're not seeing is him getting out scrambled, him getting out wrestled and just put it flat on his back and held there. You do not see that. Now, in the striking, I think Dariush is a little slower, right? I think Moicano is going to have a little bit of an advantage on the feet, but I think you can't sit down and just play it cool. I'm just going to beat him in jiu-jitsu. I'm just going to beat him in wrestling. That's why when I look at the odds, man, and I see +170 dog for Dariush at open, -195 comeback there for Money Moicano, I'm just like, yo, what happened, man? Dariush was supposed to be the only guy who could actually defend for the championship. Then he got knocked out by Tsarukyan, and then it just all fell apart. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually looking at the live numbers, Derick. +140 Dariush and -170 for Moicano, so it's getting a little bit closer. So people are seeing what you're seeing right here. I do think for this one, Derick, Moicano is going to be needing to depend on his speed in the hands, because you're right. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything against Dariush on the ground with how skilled Dariush is and with how much of a break he's had from his last knockout. So I don't think anything of that's going to come into play, but I do see Moicano, man, just working range, working distance, keeping him busy, keeping him guessing, maybe having the washing machine style fight where you're able to scramble up and down. But I do think the ones and twos and the kicks of Moicano are going to be on display that night.
All the notes that I'm looking at right here shows Moicano ahead. Significant strikes landed, accuracy, defense. Only thing that he's not better at is pretty much takedown average, right? Which it looks like it's pretty much equal. So that really doesn't count, man. So this could turn into a boxing match. And again, I can see Moicano having some success. But what changed? Aside from the wrestling, has Moicano changed as a fighter from the days that we saw him fight, 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think the one thing that has changed for Moicano as of late, especially, is the mindset. Like, this dude's going in and willing to lay it down on the line to get the finish. Finish or be finished has really been his mentality as of late, and you can tell he fights with a little bit more aggression, a little bit more passion in there, which is a good thing for him.
A Charles Oliveira-esque mental switch, if you will, right? That's what it sounds like to me, which, again, is one of those guys where you just were a guy, and then all of a sudden you weren't, and you were on a run. This will be the determining factor. If you can beat Beneil Dariush, I will put ultimate respect on Money Moicano's name, and I will never doubt him again, even though you can't do that in this sport. But again, I'm not a guy that writes off the people who have the resume, right? You lose to Tsarukyan, who's fighting for a title. You lose to Oliveira, who was a former champion. You beat Gamrot Ferguson. Okay, Ferguson doesn't count. Let's just take that one off the record. But then you beat Diego Fajeda, so two of the nastiest scramblers in the division. I got Benny just purely off of scrambles pace, cardio, relentlessness, all of that good stuff. I don't think he gets chinned easily, even though he did against Tsarukyan, but who knows? Everything changes once you get that big knockout, right?
Everything changes, but Derick, he has had a year off, especially after the last two knockouts. I was a little worried, and it's weird because, like you said, Benny with the gray hair, everybody thinks he's an older guy, and with how the last two fights have been, I'm wondering how many miles he has left on his body. And Moicano seems to be taking this resurgence of his own career, taking it in his own hands. I like Moicano right here, man. I'm excited to see how this fight actually unfolds because of how skilled both fighters are.
And it's funny, man, because it's only 35. Could you imagine at 35 being like, you old fucking, get out of here, you old decrepit man, You're like, yo, what? 35? Like, okay. But hey, listen, contentious pick right here. Benny Dariush, we're taking the plus money right here. Plus 140, cash that one live odd right now, so go get it right now. And then AJ, you're rolling with?
Money Moicano, folks, and I'm actually looking at the props right here. Money Moicano, I like him at decision, which is kind of crazy, but I do think I'm banking on the durability and the technical ability of both of these fighters. Plus 205 for Moicano to get the decision right here.
All right, fair. Run it. That's going to be a good one, folks. But to open us up, the opening fight on the main card. The Trailblazers back, Kevin Holland, and he gets Reiner de Ridder, man. Not a good stylistic matchup for him. The other thing that's also interesting is moving back up to 185 and just taking a fight, because a fight is a fight, and that's what fighters do, right? But I think this is interesting, man, because as I alluded to in the beginning of the program, this one on both sides, I think it end in 60 seconds. Like, Holland standing can knock de Ridder out cold, like a nasty, devastating knockout. Then again, de Ridder could just grab him and then it could be over, right? Like, to me, this is like a Derek Brunson, Kevin Holland fight, pretty much, all over again. The only difference is de Ridder doesn't have fantastic wrestling. He's a submission grappler, right? So, like, he's more of a jiu-jitsu guy. Kevin Holland, dangerous on the feet. AJ, what can Kevin Holland do to Reiner de Ridder when de Ridder made GM3 look like he was a Golden Glove boxer on the feet, bro? Like, de Ridder was getting pieced up a little bit. He had his moments, but GM3 looked way too good in that fight for me not to think that Kevin Holland can do disgusting, devastating things to this man. What do you think?
Well, especially with the speed and the power and not having to cut all the normal weight that Kevin Holland has, man, he looks really, really good in this fight. I'm definitely expecting him to just work the jab, work the distance. And with how big de Ridder is, that's one of the things that worries me right here for this kind of fight. I mean, Kevin Holland, we know he's able to jump up, but he doesn't always fare best at 185. So if Kevin Holland wants to put some damage on him, he's got to do it early. He's got to get de Ridder uncomfortable and not willing to take a shot, right? Or get a takedown of any sorts. I don't expect de Ridder to be shooting double legs or anything, but I do think if Kevin Holland can avoid the cage, circle out, keep the movement, get de Ridder tired like how we saw him in that GM3 fight, Kevin Holland looks really good right here.
When I first saw this matchup pop up, I said Kevin Holland free money all day right here against de Ridder, until I realized 185 pounds, where Holland historically hasn't really been able to stay off of his back in these matchups. But more important than that, de Ridder's going to do one thing. He is going to shoot doubles. It's just not going to be your conventional wrestler double. It's going to be a double off of Kevin Holland's big right hand. When he crashes and overextends, de Ridder's going to come right underneath, get onto the hips, put him down. My question is, can Kevin Holland get up? And if he does get up once, can he continue to get up? Because de Ridder is literally going to just like spam takedowns all day long, man. That's the game plan. He did it in one championship. He's come to the UFC, and if you can do it to GM3, I'm very confident that you can do it to Kevin Holland or another fighter with not as good takedown defense or grappling proficiency, even though Kevin Holland is a black belt, a Travis Lutter black belt. So, no disrespect there. But this is the big question, man. We're going back to it. It's your prop lock. Let's just like refresh for the people. 1.5 rounds is the over, minus 185 for the over, plus 155 for the under. When I originally tracked it, might have been a different odd that I showed earlier, but remind the people what's the play.
Yeah, over all day long. I still like the over, Derick. I'm doubling down on it. I do think with how dangerous Kevin Holland is on the feet and how well he knows that Derick is skilled on the ground, I don't see them just instantly right off the bat going and hunting each other down, right? I do see them playing the game, playing the chess, opening up about 6 minutes into the fight, so a minute into round 2, and then getting past that 7.5 minute mark. We'll see if we can get it done, because I agree with you, Derick. This one's an interesting one because both fighters have the ability to end the fight early.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if 60 seconds happens and somebody's knocked out or submitted or whatever. Like, you can't be mad. That's just kind of part of this matchup right here. But I don't really have anything else on this matchup other than it's going to be that type of fight. Should be exciting. Kevin Holland, we know he always puts on a fun show, and Derick is going to definitely make him work on this one. So the final play right here, since Reiner Derick is a consensus pick, and since he is now officially, when I'm looking at the numbers, moved to a favorite minus 115, are you happy with that price tag? At plus money, or at even odds, I was very, very happy to take them. But if this keeps trending higher and higher, I don't know how confident I'll be.
Yeah, I don't know how confident I'd be. Anything past like 130, Derick, I'm getting a little hesitant on Derick right there, especially with how his gas tank looked in the GM3 fight. Because if he's not able to finish Kevin Holland, if Kevin Holland is able to get up, which I don't think so, then it's going to be looking like a very, very tough fight going forward. Before the Derick pick, man, I do like, plus 285 submission. It's his best prop on the board. It's his best way to get it done. Hopefully he gets it done at about 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a real value play right there. If you're heavy on Derick and you think that's the play, go ahead and jump on that sub prop right there. Otherwise, it's fair. Minus 115, that's a fair price tag. Go ahead and run it. And yeah, there we go. Consensus pick, baby. Reiner Derick. Let's go. All right, man. Now, folks, moving on to the next section of the program, we do have some bonus plays here for you. So to give you a refresher, in case you are not familiar, we're just going to run through 4 different bonus plays. AJ is the arbiter of truth, and of course, as always, he's going to give us the lock of the bonus play for UFC 311.
And now, the Bloody Water Podcast presents your Fight Night bonus plays.
First one, I'm going to go ahead and rattle them off. You give me some context, and then you give me the final pick right here. First one, we've already talked about this one, but Benny Dariush versus Money Moicano to go the distance, plus 110. Just the fight to go the distance, plus 110. Give us some context here.
Yeah, Derick, with the over of this fight being 2.5 at minus money, right? And then they make it 2.5 more minutes. We're talking about plus money here. This one raised up my eyebrows instantly because I do think this fight has the ability to go long term with how skilled they are and how equally matched both fighters are. You look at the distance at plus money, it makes all the sense to me.
All right, next up. Dog parlay, actually, man. The machine, Merab Dvalishvili money line. Combine that with Yuri Prochazka's money line, you get a plus 635 right there. That's a massive payout. Talk to him.
Massive payout, Derick, for people who arguably, right, Merab's obviously at the top of his division, but Yuri, not too long ago, was the guy, right? Crazy to see Dvalishvili as the underdog right here. The Yuri play makes a little bit more sense, especially how Hill's able to get things done, but at plus 635 for people who just recently, or at least in Yuri's case, just recently winning all the time, like, man, this one looks very, very tempting.
All right, next up, we got a couple of chalk plays to close us out here. Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan in the rematch. Fight to go the distance, minus 145.
Yeah, very well matched all around. I mean, we talked about it before. I'm expecting a very back and forth fight right here. A lot of grappling leading to a decision fight. That's why I think the odds makers also have this at minus 145 because the over, minus 175. So they can see this one getting a little bit closer towards that end goal.
Okay, and then finally, man, last second, right? Guskov, he was supposed to fight Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker pulls out. Elikana comes up on the board. Let me go ahead. Bogdan Guskov versus Billy Elikana. Forgive me if I mispronounced. Under 1.5, minus 155. I really like this play. Talk to him.
I like this play a lot, Derick, and underplays are always risky, folks, but this is light heavyweight fight, early or short notice replacement in Elikana, and then 20 combined finishes between the two of them, with 15 of those being finished before the 7.5 minute mark, so before that under 1.5. I like this one a lot.
That's right. All right, folks, you got 4 bonus plays on the docket, but AJ, we can only pick one. Only one can be official here for the bonus play for UFC 311. What's it going to be?
The official bonus play, folks. We're taking Alakena versus Guskov under 1.5. Short notice. I mean, come on. And both of them are knockout artists. What are we talking about? Cash in minus 155.
You gotta put on a statement. They gotta come in here and somebody's gotta drop. Bodies are gonna hit the floor. That's your bonus play, folks. Exclusive here to this program. We don't share this on social media. Don't put it on Twitter. You have to watch the program to get it or listen to the program on audio. By the way, if you're listening, rate us 5 stars because this is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, baby. Let's go. All right, AJ, we're not done. Next up, we got a very important program here, and we need to talk about the unknowns of today, but the stars of tomorrow. As always, this is the coveted sleeper section. So let's go ahead and let's not mince any words, brother. Let's just jump straight into it, man.
It's time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
You got a sleeper who has been featured as a sleeper many times, who has been featured as the opening bout of cards many a time, and I think it's only a matter of time that he gets a little bit more recognition, man. He's still a sleeper, I believe, in a lot of the masses' eyes. Talk to the people.
A lot of the casual eyes, folks, and this line's going to you. If you don't know who Tagir Ulanbekov is, shame on you, folks. There's a reason he's opened up the cards all the time. Amazing grappler with that smash style, coming out of an amazing camp we've talked about. Very fast, dangerous, especially when he's in control of the fight. And then the lesser known, Clayton Carpenter. Very, very dangerous, right? And has the ability to get his name up there, but this is the opportunity for him to be able to do it. Undefeated at 8-0, really slick on the ground, and also has the strikes to well round his game out. 15 combined finishes between them, 13 of those coming by submission. Fast pace, very technical. Do not blink on how this fight goes because either of the fighters can finish it at any moment.
That's going to be a fun fight right here. Folks, I got another good one here, and this is going to be along similar lines. If you're a hardcore, you know who these guys are. If you're a casual, though, I'd be very surprised. Rinya Nakamura, the fighting pride of Japan, and then Muin Gafarov, Tajik from Tajikistan, right? This is going to be a fun fight right here because you know they're trying to build up the Japanese prospect in Nakamura. This dude was submitting people, knocking people out, even got a knockout in his UFC debut. He's come a little bit short, and I say short. These are still victories, man. This dude is 9-0 undefeated, but a couple of decisions victories in his last couple. So a win over Carlos Vera and then a win over Fernie Garcia, which are very impressive victories. But this dude likes to grapple. Muin Gafarov, he's gonna try to chunk him, bro. This dude throws, and he throws hard. And of his 2 losses in his last 5, John Castaneda, the sexy Mexi, is one of them. The other one is Saeed Nurmagomedov, where he got caught by a guillotine choke. Came back, got a win over Mr. Perfect, Kyung Ho Kong, no longer in the UFC, but still a big win. And I just think that this is going to be a dude who's going to try to test the chin of Nakamura. But then again, they call Nakamura the hybrid for a reason. So this is a sleeper because these are 2 unknown dudes who you really should be put on the map a little bit more than they are currently. And with that being said, folks, very easy conclusion to your sleeper section. Always prelims, always free, always fun, always fantastic. All right. AJ, one more section to break down. And this is going to be a little bit of a novel section. Folks, normally we would hit you with some news and notes, but we are reopening a section that we used to do back in the All Factors Considered days. If you're a real OG, you know what we're talking about. We're not even going to explain. But AJ, we have a mailbag here today. So all I'm going to do with the remaining time that we have left is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to showcase a couple of the submissions that were in. These are questions about UFC Fight Week for 311 and just, random questions, MMA related, all, of course. And we're just going to go ahead and answer them. So I'll go ahead and kick us off, man. First up, from first round finish, Johnny Walker's out. Billy Elicana, the guy we were just talking about, he's stepping in last minute. Never heard of the dude. Any shot he pulls up the upset or not? AJ, I think you are well equipped to answer this one, my friend.
I think there is a shot he can pull off a knockout, Derick. He is short notice, right? But that doesn't mean he hasn't been training. He hasn't been active in his own game. And with how many knockouts this dude has, right? Undefeated going in. We've seen undefeated fighters get in there and do some work. And then especially going up against Guskov, man. Bogdan Guskov is nothing to slouch at, but he does leave a lot of holes open to be able to be attacked. And I think Elikana can make stuff happen right here.
It's hard to be a slickster at 205 pounds. I'll just say that, man, because one wrong move and you do get slumped. Now, he's been on the winning side of things, but again, I'm going to defer to you on this one. Maybe there is a real shot, but Guskov, he probably, if you were going to fight Johnny Walker and now you get the short notice, you should be able to get it done. We'll see. All right, let's keep it pushing. King of the Cage. Dana White, he keeps teasing this John Jones versus Aspinall fight. Be real. Is that actually happening, or is he just blowing smoke again? Don't think he was particularly blowing smoke per se, because this never was really like a signed official type thing. I don't think he even ever really said it was going to be done. Do you know, AJ? Did he say like officially like this fight will happen?
He didn't say officially. He said he's looking into it, and I believe one of the fighters was needing to sign or something like that. But there has been rumors, right, that Dana White is looking to get this fight booked. Personally, I don't see it ever happening. I mean, we've seen how long Dana will just dangle the carrot in front of anybody that has, the cash cow or the price tag on him, like a Connor. He's going to just dangle the John Jones name in front of everybody until we actually see something emerge. And I unfortunately don't think it's going to be an Aspinall fight.
I just don't think John Jones has anything left to prove, man. You know, you could throw $1 billion at this dude and he might do it, right? But like, why not go at, if you look, I say it like this. If you just look at paper and you look at what people are going to say 25 years from now, nobody's going to care that you didn't fight Aspinall, right? They're going to say, oh, dang, you knocked out Stipe Miocic, right? You went on this incredible run and you retired after that. You beat the best heavyweight at the time to do it. Yeah, you're the best. You're the GOAT. And 12-6 elbows are illegal now, so that fight should have got reversed. The one that you did lost. Yeah, you're basically the Khabib before Khabib, right? Like that's you. Floyd Mayweather. Let's not forget, folks. 50-0. 50th victory was against Conor McGregor. I'll leave it at there. Mic drop. Come on. You know what I mean? Good one. King of the cage. But yeah. All right. Elbows Only says, with all of these wildfires in LA, is there any chance UFC 311 gets moved, or is Dana going to force it through no matter what? AJ, as of this recording right here, UFC 311 is like 3 days out. So I definitely hope that this thing doesn't get moved. I heard there was last second contingency plans for Las Vegas, which, you know, of course, fight capital of the world. But dog, that would, imagine you bought tickets and they're like, sorry, moved it to Vegas. No luck on this one. What do you think?
I don't think Uncle Dana's going to move it. He barely believes in COVID. He doesn't believe in the wildfires that are out there. All jokes aside, I believe they're a couple, like 50 so miles away from the fires, the Palisade fires. So I don't see Uncle Dana really putting that much concern into it, especially being this close.
Yeah. Hopefully, no issues affected or anything like that, because you would hate that. But also, listen, man, I mean, like I said, devastating stuff out there. So, like, in a very serious moment, for like just a quick aside, again, all bless up to the people who are dealing with that stuff. But back to the fight talk. Left Hook Larry, love the username. Holly Holm. Yeah, that's right. Holly Holm, she's bouncing from the UFC to box again. Kind of feels like she's just chasing checks at this point. What's her legacy really looking like now? AJ, I'm just going to say this, man. I saw a tweet, and I believe this was from Ariel Helwani, and he said that Holly Holm now officially is one of the biggest free agents on the market. And I had to do a double take and look at her Tapology. He's like, dog, she is 43 years old in a bantamweight division. What hot free agent are we talking about right here? All love to the preacher's daughter. Like, listen, New Mexico's own, right? Dog, 43 years old. Can we shut the door on that? Let's just be real for a second. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you, Derick. Shut the door on it. I love me some Holly Holm, like you said, Derick. Very New Mexico proud, but at a certain time, like, and it's weird because I was thinking, like, what else is Holly Holm's legacy, right? What is it really looking like? She's one of those fighters. Holly Holm, the preacher's daughter, is one of those fighters where when we think of her, we still think she's back in her 20s, right? She's still boxing people up, right? She's head kicking Ronda Rousey. Like, that is the legacy of Holly Holm, and I don't think, or she's one of the lucky ones that I don't think anything will tarnish that, unless she keeps fighting to like 50 years old and a free agent, and now who's she going to be fighting on the local scene? Like, it doesn't make any sense. She's the best, one of the best to ever do it. Leave it at that. Leave your legacy intact.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a good place to end on this mailbag for this one, man. We had a couple more questions right here, but we're just going to leave them be. Folks, you want to be featured on the program, you want your question answered, hit us up. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube comments. I mean, that's the best place. Just send us a message, you know what I mean? And we'll go ahead and we'll make sure that you get featured right here. You can also go ahead and hit us up at bwpinquiries@gmail.com. That's on the YouTube and all that good stuff. But like I said, do whatever's easiest for you guys.